I'm Olivia Da Silva. I'm with theScore eSports, and I'm here with Callum, Swanny, Swan from Millenium. How are you doing, and how are you feeling?
Fantastic. Got the pre-tournament adrenaline at the moment, so I'm just really looking forward to getting into the action and competing.
That's always good to have, and the jet lag wasn't too bad for you?
No, I think it's a misconception that plays sort of any part in the tournament. You know, we've all travelled over here multiple times, so we're kind of used to it. We've had a few days to acclimatise, and we're just ready to get into it.
That's always good to have, right? So you guys just came off of a solid third-place performance at the Gfinity event, and you guys won the EU Stage 1 playoffs back in March. How are you feeling going into Stage 2 playoffs?
I mean, first, you said it was solid, but for us personally, I think it was a disappointment, honestly. As you said, because we sort of won the first season, anything less than first, and especially with a roster of this caliber in Europe, we're expecting to win every event, especially, you know, within Europe, whether it's this event or the Gfinity event. And we have had sort of a decline in performance, I guess, in the online portion of this season or this stage. So we're just looking to kind of rectify our mistakes, to build upon Gfinity, hopefully come up against the teams who bested us there and take this title or defend our title.
For sure. Do you have any predictions as to how the playoffs are going to pan out?
I don't really want to kind of delve into it. All we're looking for really is the final result. So we're just going to take it one game at a time and hopefully do what we know we can do, and what we're more than capable of doing is replicating our performance at Stage 1.
Absolutely. And are there any teams in particular that you're like really looking forward to facing off against?
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, as any competitor, especially someone, you know, I've played for 7 years. I'm at the point now where at this level I want to be consistently competing against the best. So, you know, some people, they might argue that, oh, you'd rather have the easiest run to the final to get that trophy. But, you know, on the contrary, I want to come up against the best teams, and I want to prove that, you know, we are better than them. So teams such as Infused, Splice, obviously we managed to beat Infused at Gfinity the other week. Splice, we actually haven't had a chance to play them, but they're looking incredibly strong and comfortably a top 2 team within Europe, I think. So it'll be interesting if we match up against them.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I want to pick your brain about a little bit, there seems to be a little bit of a stigma surrounding the European League versus the North American League. And for whatever reason, it seems that there's speculation that, or rather it's perceived that the European teams aren't quite on par with the North American teams. And I don't know why that is, because you're all Pro Division players. Do you have any insight on why there seems to be that?
No, I would say that that's an accurate conclusion. To be honest, as brutally honest as it is, I think the US region is just, you know, historically it's always been slightly ahead of Europe. And I think, you know, with the introduction of the Call of Duty World League, with kind of the frequency of international competition at the moment, we are bridging the gap. But there still is a geographical divide, especially when you look at sort of the consistent placements throughout the season with the North American region, then it's generally Europe behind, and then sort of Australia. But as we've seen, you know, with the Australians' performance at the Call of Duty Championships for the past few years, with European performance at some MLG events, and especially when kind of on home soil when we're competing against the US teams, we have proven that we're on a similar level and we can compete. But again, it's just about kind of getting to the point where we can replicate those results consistently. And that's one thing that we're really looking to kind of lock down before COD XP, obviously, which is coming up in September.
Absolutely. And do you think, like, what changes do you think should be made, or need to be made rather, in order for the two regions to be kind of seen on par?
I think just the way that the game's perceived and the way that they kind of approach practice, or even that tournament mentality in the US, it seems to be a lot more clinical, I guess. And because their community historically, again, has been a lot more established, I think. The US, the Call of Duty competitively and in esports has its roots within the US. So they've always sort of progressed at a faster rate, I guess. And because obviously the quantity of competition in the US is greater than in the UK or Europe, the quality kind of improves at a faster rate. So that's why I think, I mean, the main way for us to improve within Europe is to compete, obviously, against the best, to compete against the US teams, which is why we've kind of actively been seeking to come over here, whether it's boot camps, MLG events, just kind of getting any gameplay against the US guys before it comes to COD XP in the major tournaments.
Okay. And what do you think the biggest lesson that you've learned from playing with kind of the other regions and just other teams in general has been?
There's just such diversity in strategy. I think because the communities online are obviously inherently segregated with online competition, it means that we can't really compete against them on a consistent basis. So when it comes to tournaments, there's always surprises between kind of how they approach certain game modes and how we do. And sometimes it benefits us. For example, in Search and Destroy, we've kind of, in Europe, we've developed a reputation as kind of unpredictable and a bit gung-ho in certain situations. And that kind of surprises the US guys and works in our favour because inherently they're a lot more team orientated, I think, or have been in the past, and they're a lot more cautious in certain situations in Search and Destroy. But conversely, it puts us at a disadvantage in other situations because the US guys have that chance to practice against each other, so they kind of have an idea of how they play in the respawn game modes, whereas a lot of the time we're kind of going into it blind, and it appears as though they're just a lot more regimented, I think, and they're just a lot quicker to respond to certain situations. And at the top level, those few seconds that it takes to make a decision are absolutely everything.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you the best of luck at the playoffs, and I hope to see you guys do very well. And thank you for taking the time to come speak with us.